wind cuts like knives, whipping thick snow dust across the valley. The ground lies silent, without a sound of beasts, only the heavy footsteps of humankind dragging through the long hunger. Their bodies are emaciated, skin cracked, breaths freezing into white mist. In the cold haze, their eyes still shine, reflecting a faint glimmer of life's thirst amidst the frost. When the cold season arrives, the earth hardens to stone, plants are buried, and the herds migrate far away. Everything edible vanishes. Blood-cracked hands still dig through snow, lift stones, searching for the small carcass of a bird or old animal bones to gnaw. Hunger devours not only the flesh, but tests the will. In the white storm, they huddle close to keep their warmth. Weak heat passes from one body to another, like a silent promise among those who struggle to exist. No fire, no light, only the endurance of instinct and a faint faith that light will return. In the harshest place, humankind survives not only by meat and blood, but by a will refusing to disappear. In the silence of ice and wind, they learn to wait, to share the final peace, to believe that one day the earth will thaw. And within that hunger season, the first seed of resilience was sown into the bloodline of humankind. Ice still blankets the land, but beneath that white layer, warmth of a great beast lingers. Humans bend down, touching the deep footprints pressed into the snow. The scent of soil and beast rises, guiding their steps. They follow each hollow mark, each trace of dung, each strand of hair caught on a branch. Through instinct and memory, they read the path of the colossal prey they have never seen. Amid the thick mist, humans pause and listen. The wind shifts, carrying a deep, heavy tone. From within the fog, the roar of the beast echoes like distant thunder. No one speaks, only eyes signal, hands point direction. Feet tread softly upon the snow. That silence is the first language of the hunt. When they grasp sticks, stones, and bones, they do not yet understand power, only that survival demands togetherness. Each time a spear rebounds, each wound bleeds, another lesson carves itself into memory. Amid the chill and scent of iron, humankind realizes that the land holds more than hunger and fear. In the act of tracking, they discover thought, patience, calculation, and hope. Across the boundless snow, human footprints merge with those of beasts. From that moment on, humankind no longer merely fled from nature, they began to learn its patterns. And through that understanding, to survive. The sky turned pitch black. Clouds coiled low. Wind howled through the charred trunks. Then, thunder struck. A flash of light fell from the heavens, tearing the air apart. Fire burst forth, blazing red, curling thick black smoke. The band of humans froze, eyes wide, staring at the strange yet mesmerizing light. The flames roared, feeding on wet grass, spreading a heat they had never known. One figure stepped closer, trembling hand clutching a half-burnt branch. The heat scorched his skin, but the light made his eyes gleam. As the fire burned, darkness retreated, and for the first time, the human face was revealed. In that glow, fear slowly dissolved, replaced by curiosity, the feeling that marked the beginning of thought. The smell of roasted meat was strange, soft and sweet, warming the belly, steadying the breath. The whole group gathered around the flames, both afraid and entranced. They discovered that fire did not only destroy it, gave life, warmth, and light to the cold night. When the rain came, they shielded the embers, carrying them back to the cave. The flickering red coals, small yet sacred, were like souls. From that day, fire became a friend, a symbol of awakening. In that light, humankind first knew they were different from all other creatures, the ones who could hold the sky's flame in their palms. Ash still clung to the earth, wind carrying the scent of burned flesh and scorched bone. In the open plain, the carcass of a giant beast lay on its side, fur singed, tusks broken and half buried in mud. Humans approached, rough hands touching the cold, hard hide, then stopping at a dull white tusk. In the dim light, they saw not just death, but a chance to live. One figure picked up the tusk, striking it hard against stone. A dry crack echoed the tusk split, revealing a sharp edge like a blade. The reflection of light froze the group in awe. Another figure tried cutting into the beast's hide, a thin line appearing. Blood oozed, but the hand did not withdraw. Pain became a teacher. From tusks, bones, and stones, they chipped, ground, and bound with animal sinew. Each strike, each shard carried a thought to turn lifeless matter into something useful. The sound of stone hitting bone echoed, mingling with heavy breath, the rhythm of an awakening mind. When the first spearhead pierced deep into a tree trunk, the group cried out softly, eyes lit with flame. In that moment, they understood strength was not only in the hand, but in the ability to create. From the corpse of a beast, humankind gave birth to tools, and from those tools, gave birth to the future of their kind. Pale dawn. The fog lay heavy like a veil over the earth. Moisture drenched the grass, clinging cold to human skin. Humans bent low, stepping slowly on the soft mud, eyes fixed on the massive shapes of fur moving in the distance. Their quick breaths blended with the mist, dissolved into the wind. No words were spoken, only eyes and gestures, the silent signals of survival. When the beast strayed from the herd, every body tensed. Hands gripped the spears tight, waiting for the faint rasping signal. Then the spear flew, slicing through the fog, driving deep into thick hide. The beast's roar shook the ground, mud burst upward, blood sprayed red through the mist. The whole band surged forward, shouting in a frenzy. Each individual traded their blood for a breath of life. When the giant creature fell, the earth quaked. One figure collapsed beside the muddy pool, blood mixing with the soil. The humans stopped, bowed their heads in silence. No words, only wind and heavy breath. Then they divided the meat, steam rising from hot blood, the scent of iron blending with snow. In that metallic air, humankind knew that victory always came with loss. And on the edge of life and death, they understood one truth: no one could survive if the band broke apart. True strength lay in the bond of those who shared both flesh and pain. After the blood-soaked hunt, only the wind remained across the open land. It whistled through the tusks of the great beast, releasing a low, drawn-out sound like a spirit's call. The humans stood around the carcass, bodies stained with blood, eyes meeting in silence. Then one voice rose short, hoarse, breaking from deep in the throat. The sound rang and then faded. The wind answered with a long tone. The band listened. Another replied, lower, thicker. One sound followed another, forming a chain of tones no longer meaningless. From then, wind and voice intertwined, becoming speech. Each sound carried a meaning, a warning, a reminder, or a message shared. During the hunt, short whistles led the way. In danger, growls gave alarm. Sound began to carry thought. The young imitated the elders, creating clumsy rhythms. At night, cries echoed through the valley, fading into distance like a chorus calling across time. From wind came sound, from sound came understanding. The band was no longer mute among nature. Through voice, they could call to one another, find one another, and stand together against the harsh world. When dawn returned, mist still on their lips, they knew speech had been born not to boast strength, but to hold one another close in a world full of fear and solitude. The air grew warmer. Ice on the ground cracked open. Muddy water rushing fiercely through the valley. Steam rose, blurring the grey sky. The humans stood at the ice's edge, watching the massive beasts trudge heavily across the melting mire. Beneath their feet, the thin ice splintered again and again. Human eyes, opportunity flickered like flame. One figure signaled. Bands split apart, some gathered sharp stones, some raised dry branches, others hid behind frozen ridges. Their breath merged with the water's roar, forming a rhythm of tense anticipation. When the beasts roared, the ice gave way, a massive body plunged into the thawing stream. Water burst white, blood spread red. In that instant, spears flew, their tips slicing through cold mist, driving deep into thick hide. A scream split the air. Waves splashed mud high. A few were struck down, swept into the torrent, yet the rest did not stop. They surged forward, thrusting spears, striking with stone, until the giant's breath faded amid the current. When the water calmed, the beast's body floated up, its heat fading into the wind. The humans gathered around, lightning reflected in their eyes. In that moment, they understood that strength did not lie in one, but in the unity of many. Amid the sound of water and cracking ice, humankind first learned to use earth, wind, and timing to turn weakness into triumph. A cracking sound tore through the freezing waters. Ice collapsed, rocks tumbled, man and beast fell together into the murky current. The chaos. Hands gripped broken tusks and sharp stones, and humans suddenly realized these hard things could cut, could kill, could save. From instinct, the idea was born. They no longer used whatever lay nearby. They began to choose what fit the need. That act of choosing marked the birth of thought, a new spark in the darkness of existence. After escaping the current, hands still trembling, lips still blue, they looked back at the frozen battlefield and understood every wound was proof of a mind awakening. The broken tusk glimmered faintly in the hand. Yet that faint light marked the beginning of a long journey when lifeless matter would serve those who knew how to think. The ground was damp, mud clinging heavy, smoke rising from burning grass bundles. Humans had learned to use smoke and fire to drive the beasts. As the flames advanced, the giant herd panicked, and through the haze, spears flew. This hunt was no longer just to eat and survive. It was the scream of existence itself. When blood sprayed, when the earth broke apart, they still pushed forward, eyes blazing red in the firelight. When the beast collapsed, humans did not cheer. They stood around in silence. One figure smeared the beast's blood across the chest of the leader. The act carried no words, yet held the power of the pack's life force. At night, the band sat around the carcass, firelighting sweat-drenched faces. They had mastered fire, earth, water, and fear itself. From that moment, humankind knew that existence was not merely survival, but the will to rise above death. The earth cracked dry, heat rising from its depths.
Don't worry, little one. We will find our way.
Exhausted, humans took shelter in caves where the warmth of the soil seeped through their skin. In the dim smoke, one figure pressed a hand against the wall, leaving a print in wet clay. Another hand followed. Then another. No one knew why, only that they wished to leave their mark, a way of saying we were here. The warmth of the earth dried the prints, hardening them like stone. The humans gazed in silence. Each hand was a story, a breath, a memory. Outside, wind howled through the mountain pass, ash covering the way out. But within the cave, faint light shone on the red, black, and grey handprints, the first traces of consciousness. Those marks were not made for others to see, but for themselves to know that between earth and sky, humankind had once left their being behind.